Hi. Okay, in this week's Parshas Ba'aloscha, we learn about the process of the Levine being taken and sanctified for the avodah that it outlined in the previous Parshios. So in Pasuk Yud Zayin in Parshas, it says the following statement: Ki li kol b'chor b'nei Yisrael be'adam u'behema b'yom hakosi kol b'chor be'eretz Yisrael v'yigdashti osam li. Basically, it means because it's to me all the bechor of all the firstborns of the Bnei Israel from man and behema on the day that I smit or smoted or smited the all the bechor in Mitzrayim. I made the hikdashi osam and I made them holy unto me, and subsequently they were supposed to be the ones who are doing that avoda. However, they were, which was, as I explained, more of a national service kind of idea, but the Bechorim lost that merit because of the sin with the Egel Azav, the golden calf. The thing that bothers me a little bit, I think it needs a little bit of an explanation, is that when Bnei Israel did the Korban Pesach, and there was this gezerah on the firstborn Makas Bechoros in Mitzrayim, so we were told to take the Korban Pesach and do something different that we never did with any other Korban Pesach, is that we took the blood of the Korban Pesach and we put it on the doorposts and on the lintel, on the mezuzahs and on the crossbeam in order as a protection, and it was a sign that Hashem would skip over the houses, the mashkas would skip over the houses and all that. And therefore, whoever was inside the houses of Bnei Israel were protected. And however, whoever went outside, even if they weren't a bechor, were subject to subject to danger. So therefore, by staying in the house and by doing this with the Korban Pesach, seems to be the thing that saved them. So why is it singled out that the Bechorim were the ones that were saved? All the Jews were saved, because if you didn't do this, and anybody in any of the houses could have been subject to the mashchis. So why is this singled out that only the Bechorim were kaddishli, were special? What was the special merit, or what was the special situation, the significance of that? They were more dedicated, more entrusted, and actually Rashi says, "B'dinhu," I acquired them through a merit. Uses the word a din, that it was a real judgment. So the truth is that we know that the Klal Yisrael, the reason why they needed a merit in Mitzrayim over there in order to go out is because they were on the 49th level of Tumah, the lowest level, one more step below, and they wouldn't have been saved at all. And we know that even 3/5 of the Bnei Israel, 4/5 of the Bnei Israel didn't merit to go out. So it could be the following thought, that in a family structure, so there are the parents, and you have the honor of the parents, but in terms of the siblings, of the children, all the children in a certain way look to the oldest, look to the Bechor as the one to set the tone and set the standards. The parents set the household standards overall, but in terms of the person on their level who they look to most, if you see in most sibling structures, they look to the oldest and as either protecting them or giving them guidance in order to do this. And you see this in many times when something happens and the siblings, the children, would turn to the oldest and say, "Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you, if you would have told us not to do it, we wouldn't have done this, or why'd you let us get away with this?" It's sort of a concept that there's a certain level of responsibility that the Bachor has in selling what the children do, because the parents don't see everything. Parents aren't on the same level as the children, and therefore it's the Bechor's obligation, so to speak, in order to help to set the tone, the standards of the Klal Yisrael. And that's why it could be that one of the Bechor should have had the Malchus. It should have been his, which is one of the responsibilities of Malchus, is to set the standard and the level of Klal Yisrael. So it could be that the reason why the Bechorim needed this, they were especially dedicated to this after the Maisa Bechorim, is because they had a real taina, a real judgment against them, that it wasn't that only all of Klal Yisrael was on the 49th level, but who allowed them to become that way is the fact that the Bechorim didn't stand up and do what they were supposed to. If they would have been, if they could have done more, they would have been able to lead them into a way that they wouldn't maybe not have fallen so fast or fallen into this. So it could be that that's what Hashem is saying is that the Bechorim were responsible for this, and therefore I had a din on the Bechorim, and I could have taken them along with the Bechorei Mitzrayim because they deserved to be destroyed as well. However, I saved them, and therefore they became dedicated to me. Even though that there was a mashkris, but even with the mashkris, it could have been that it would have been that the Bechor, it could have been across the board, I'm going to kill all the Bechorim. However, the Hashem saved them, and because He saved them, they became dedicated to this. So we understand this, that there is a certain, the older children, the older siblings, to have a certain responsibility to help lead, keep the level of the family to the proper level. Again, sometimes they overreact and they overstep their bounds and they act like parents. It's not a parent, but in a certain way, you said, as an older brother. And we see that even that there's a certain level of kibbud av and kibbud abe with older siblings that there is there. So could be that this is hopefully an interesting thought. Have a good Shabbos.